Greetings and felicitations.
Hip hip hurrah, tally ho.
Hey, Cutie Pie.
Hey, Puddin'.
All right, we just got finished watching Mighty Joe Young. What did you think?
Oh, it was a great movie. What did you think?
I love it. Let's talk about details. It was directed by Ernest B. Schoedsack, produced by Marion Cooper, screenplay Ruth Rose, story by Marion Cooper, starring Terry Moore, Ben Johnson, Robert Armstrong, Frank Mayhew, and Douglas Fowley. Music by Roy Webb, cinematography by J. Roy Hunt, by Argosy Pictures, distributed by RKO Radio Pictures. Release date, July 27th, 1949. It ran 93 minutes long. Budget, $1.8 million. Box office, $1.95 million. So, Mighty Joe Young oftentimes is referred to as a King Kong knockoff, just because you have a large-scale gorilla. But in fact, the story is very different. I mean, it focuses in more on the young woman that is Jill Young, who lives in Africa on her father's ranch, and she raises from infancy a large gorilla. Now, it's not a multi-story gorilla the size of King Kong, smaller. It's definitely large, larger than is realistically possible. But instead of bringing this gorilla against his will to New York, they bring the gorilla to Hollywood and seeking fame and fortune.
But they go to Hollywood because of some other person that wants to make money off of it.
They're more pressured into it.
Yes. So you do see it as being based on King Kong, and I kind of think that a lot of the stuff in the plot, I mean, like it built on King Kong. Like you still wouldn't have had this movie if that one hadn't been done first.
You got to figure King Kong came out roughly a decade earlier, so they wanted to cash in on it, that fame.
And William O'Brien, who created the animation for King Kong, was the special effects supervisor for this one. So there was that connection.
But this was the very first feature film in which Ray Harryhausen contributed to the stop-motion animation. And we know we love Ray Harryhausen and the movies he would produce later on.
He did some great movies, and yeah, this was one of them. So I like even at the very beginning when Jill's father found the baby gorilla, and and she said, "Are you cross?" And he said, like, "Well, for a man that just found a baby gorilla in his bed, I think I'm pretty calm." And yeah, it was a funny scene, and he actually was pretty calm. And I mean, I guess it's because like at this point he's already accepted like that things are going to happen when you have a little girl,
Mm-hmm. And how she ends up stealing stuff of her father's to trade for the gorilla.
That was funny too.
Did you ever do stuff like that?
No, I don't think I did. Did you?
No.
Okay.
No, I never stole anything from my parents. No. I traded things though.
Okay.
But never for a baby gorilla.
Right.
Now, there are so many things about this movie that I really found enjoyable. And one thing I have to say is that there was a ton of stop motion animation. As much as I love the 1933 King Kong, one of the challenges is that it's more focusing on the humans than it is Kong. Now granted, this was early days of stop motion animation. They didn't have the resources to make the whole movie about Kong. This had a ton of scenes of Mr. Joe Young.
And it was all done very well. They did his movements and his the way he was slumped over. He almost walked on all fours because he was always slumped. And even in the times when he raised up, those were great visuals, and they did a good job of it. I do think sometimes they kind of messed up with perspective a few times though. Like when he was rescuing the baby from the fire at the end, when he was holding the child, it was supposed to be a small child. Sometimes it looked the size of a grown adult when he was holding
a 6-foot child.
Yeah. So a few things like that, but most of it was good.
You chalk that up to, okay, you gotta look at how it came out or when it came out. They're building blocks, essentially. They're building on what they know how to do. Yeah, there were some faux pas there, but overall, damn, that was incredible. I liked it when they had all the muscle men. And muscle man, I look at it, it's almost like 80s wrestlers. 80s wrestlers, everyone had a distinct personality and a distinct look and a distinct finishing hold. And this one, one broke chains, one broke bars, one bent metal, and they're all from different countries. It was pretty comical. Each
one had his own way to show his strength. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so all of these men were going to go in a tug of war against Joe.
Yeah. I love that whole nightclub scene. I mean, with the lions in the background, I mean, how cool would that be to go to a bar and you just see all these lions around you?
That was weird. What was strange was the way Joe, the big gorilla, the way he didn't like lions for some reason, which the movie didn't explain. But he tried to kill. It looks like he was trying to kill the lions. They did show him.
Were really violent too, showing him like breaking the lions in half and stuff.
But
and
he
slamming
didn't.
them.
See, he didn't attack humans that way though.
No.
It must be because he grew up with humans. Even though humans were still afraid of him, but he didn't attack humans the way he attacked the lions. So I always wondered about that.
And those scenes were a massive contrast. I view this as the mirror universe King Kong movie, because so many things were just the exact opposite of King Kong. Instead of King Kong coming to New York, he goes to Los Angeles. This one, instead of Kong being on stage against his will, Mighty Joe Young loved the attention.
Oh, did he? I didn't quite get that from it. But
he did it willingly.
Okay.
Even when they were throwing coins at him, he didn't throw the coins back. He accepted it.
He did, and I thought, in that scene, I really felt sorry for him.
I did too. It was like, ah!
I don't think he quite knew what was going on. He was just looking at people like, why are they doing this? I mean, yeah, and it does go to show the way people can treat, and you do feel sorry for him being on stage, being put there, and just for the people to laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely a statement about the human condition. The way we can look down on something that's different. When it's put there in the non-threatening situation, we can laugh at it, but then later on we find out how dangerous it is.
Yes. And we got to hear the same native speech that was heard in King Kong. Because when we heard the Africans speaking that speech, it's not a real language. It's a made-up language. Some have thought it to be Swahili, just like in the original King Kong. But the producers had to show the film board that no, this was not a real language, because the film board was always concerned that if you speak in another language in a film, that there might be curse words in there. So no, there were no hidden curse words in this movie.
So they made up another language just to avoid cursing. It seems like they could find someone who knows the language to make sure that, that they're saying what they want to say, but okay. And the idea of getting him drunk was different too.
I felt bad for him, actually. I felt really bad for him. Like, I thought that was the part where it was abusive. Totally. Like, this poor gorilla.
And the fact that, the one who cared the most, Jill, that raised him, she couldn't be there for everything, of course. And so, because his protector wasn't there, that this happened.
Yeah, and I really like the character of Jill, because we're going to contrast it to King Kong. King Kong was about Beauty and the Beast. This was more of a mother and child relationship.
Yes, and it was beautifully told in this movie. The way that she did care about him. I mean, she raised him. Well, you know what? They kind of grew up together too, was the thing, because she got him when she was a child, and he was a baby, so they both grew up together. But she was the only one who could give him orders, and she would tell him to do things, and she would usually have to say it several times before he actually got it, but she was really the only one who could control him and to keep him in check. But you could still tell that he was still nice. He still wouldn't hurt people unless he felt threatened.
Yes. I did think it was really different to incorporate cowboys into this. As far as I remember, and I didn't do deep research into this, but I put some thought into this. I can't think of any stop motion classic science fiction or fantasy movies with cowboys and creatures or monsters.
Yeah, that was strange. It was, I mean, they were in Africa at that time.
Yeah, I always wanted to go to Africa. I'm like, really? Really? How many people from Oklahoma really want to go to Africa? I thought that line was hysterical.
Yeah, that kind of seems like something else they just threw in. But it had to be Africa. They wanted it there because it was a gorilla.
Yes. And this is one of the few films, sci-fi fantasy films of its time, to feature a real gorilla. That is the baby one.
Oh. Yeah, I think you could tell that. He did look more real. That one wasn't stop motion.
Now, what'd you think about midway during the movie, since this is a black and white movie, there was a colorized scene.
With the fire? Yeah, that was neat. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, I guess it's like, well, that's just the way they had to do it back then. It looked strange, but it was still a good effect that they could, like now change from black and white to what, like red and black to show that there was a building on fire. Because if it was still black and white, the fire wouldn't show up as well and wouldn't look as threatening.
So I thought that was kind of a neat effect. It was their way of just moving forward into the foray of color, even though they weren't able to truly do it at this point.
That was a good scene, too, showing that Joe was willing to risk his life to save people.
Yeah, I very much enjoy this movie. I love looking at any Ray Harryhausen animation. I just think it's fascinating visually to see it. Overall impression, thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely thumbs up. And I think this shows, much more of the humanity than the predecessor King Kong. This was an excellent movie. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our Facebook group. Live long, and may the force be with you. Nanu Nanu.